people have increasingly hard time accessing services during and because of the COVID-19 lockdown.
Tonight, First Nations in Saskatchewan see HIV rates rise again. An update on World AIDS Day.
Ready to tell people, how it is now.
Part 2 of our perspectives on the truth about child welfare.
If I don't write these down, they're gone.
And an author sharing legends, fundraises to create more educational picture books. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. We begin in Nunavut, where an RCMP officer who was caught on video hitting a Keenite man with his truck door will not face criminal charges. In June of this year, this video was captured in Keenite, the Nunavut community formerly known as Cape Dorset. Nunavut RCMP used Ottawa police to investigate potential criminal acts by their officers. Ottawa police report today that they see no criminal action here. They say the truck was sliding in the snow and the door strike was accidental. Nunavut RCMP are also conducting an internal code of conduct investigation and refuse comment while that is ongoing. And you can find more on this story by going to our website, aptnnews.ca. 2 former inmates filed a statement of claim in a class action suit against the Whitehorse Correctional Centre on behalf of everyone who's been placed in segregation units over the past 6 years. Our Sarah Connors has more.
The 2 former inmates, Ray Hartling and Mark Lang, allege they were unjustifiably held in what is commonly known as segregation units and that their charter rights have been violated. Both men have underlying mental health conditions. Mark Lang, who is Indigenous, claims the overuse of segregation rendered him especially susceptible to the negative effects of isolation. This is not the first time the jail has been accused of human rights complaints. During a video conference hearing in 2014, 3 guards in riot gear held Indigenous inmate Michael Nahas to the floor of a cell. The judge and lawyers watched and listened as Nahas pleaded for a towel to cover himself. Nahas's father later filed a complaint on his son's behalf with the Yukon Human Rights Commission, though it was later determined they did not have the authority to investigate human rights complaints inside the jail. Now, the lawyer for Lang and Hartling say the men are seeking $10,000 for each person who's had to spend time in segregation since 2014, which he estimates could be up to 200 to 300 people.
You could imagine for someone who suffers from anxiety, who suffers from PTSD, which is the case for a lot of individuals who are housed at correctional centers, what it would mean for them to spend considerable amounts of time alone in a cell with, in some cases, nothing, other cases, nothing but a television.
The claimant's lawyers say a lawsuit will soon be going forward. I reached out to the Department of Justice for comment, but they declined to be interviewed. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
To Ottawa now, where from his address in front of Rideau Cottage today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced additional pandemic supports for 2 northern communities. He targeted a community in Nunavut and a First Nation in northern Saskatchewan to battle COVID outbreaks there.
For the community of Arviat, the Red Cross is deploying specialists on the ground, as well as providing rapid testing support at the Winnipeg isolation site before people return to Nunavut. We've also approved a request for assistance for Hatchet Lake First Nation in Saskatchewan for the Canadian Rangers until at least December 26th. Along with members of the community, the Rangers will be there to help with everything from health services to support for elders.
The Shamattawa First Nation is facing a COVID outbreak. There are dozens of cases in the northern Manitoba community. Chief Eric Redhead has asked for military aid. Today, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh asked the Prime Minister when that aid will be sent.
The Chief has asked for military to be sent to the nation, First Nation, to provide testing, tracing and safety measures. Will the Prime Minister heed the call of the Chief and send in the military supports that they need?
Honourable Prime Minister.
From the very beginning of this pandemic, we've worked closely with Indigenous communities and Indigenous leadership across this country to ensure that they have everything they need. We saw the first wave hit far less hard in Indigenous communities than in many other communities because of the leadership of Indigenous communities and the partnership that we've been able to establish with them. We will continue to work with local and territorial governments as well as remote communities to ensure that everything they have, they need.
Today is World AIDS Day. In Saskatchewan, on-reserve HIV rates are 3 times higher than the national average. There had been some improvement before the pandemic, but as Priscilla Wolf tells us, it's going to take a long time for those HIV rates to go down.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought new challenges in the fight against HIV on reserves in Saskatchewan. Dr. Abraham Khan from First Nations and Inuit Health says lockdowns and isolation are a big problem.
Access to testing, access to care overall has been decreased. Or it's hard for people to come out of their lockdown and restricted travel access and those sort of things. So certainly the testing number has gone down a little bit. Also, people have increasingly hard time accessing services during and because of the COVID-19 lockdown.
But people have been accessing mobile services.
Communities have now access to a mobile outreach nursing support, nursing teams. What happened is that they would go to those communities and help the communities with testing, with contact trace, follow-up, awareness campaign, and some of these people that are really, really hard to reach, those patients and those people were getting that services right at their doorstep.
Dr. Khan says there was some improvement on HIV rates in First Nation communities before the pandemic, but those rates are still high and sit at over 30%.
The HIV rates has remained elevated in the past couple of years. There was a little bit of downward trend, but still to date, based on the information we have for 2019, the diagnosis rate for HIV in First Nations communities on reserve in Saskatchewan is 31.7.
Dr. Khan adds that the Know Your Status campaign, which increased testing of HIV on reserves and immediate treatment after diagnosis, has helped.
That our efforts to reach 90-90-90 in the communities by implementing the Know Your Status programs have been internationally recognized. So certainly those elements are there. We have a lot of strengths that 90% people are diagnosed, and 90% people are on treatment, and then 90% of them are virally suppressed. By that, it means that if you have undetectable virus in the blood, it means you cannot transmit that to others. So that is certainly a big milestone.
Once the pandemic is over, health workers will hopefully be able to offer the testing and treatment needed to keep bringing HIV rates in the province down. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Time to step aside for a quick break. Coming up, we continue our look at the impact the child welfare system has had on a First Nation in Northern Ontario.
They failed me. They failed my daughter. They didn't look at her as a child.
Welcome back. APTN journalists Cullen Crozier and Kenneth Jackson spent 12 days on the road in northwestern Ontario looking into Ontario's child welfare crisis. They were contacted by a family on the Constance Lake First Nation who lost a child to suicide. The family was concerned about the way the local First Nations Child Welfare Agency handled her case. A warning to our audience, this story contains material that may be sensitive to some viewers.
Carolyn is not just a number. She was my niece, and I don't know if I'm ready to let her go yet.
They failed me. They failed my daughter. They didn't look at her as a child.
These photographs are all that Crystal Bunting has left of her daughter, Carrie Lynn. Carrie Lynn was only 13 years old when she died by suicide in her home on the Constance Lake First Nation on November 27, 2019.
Her smile is like, it was big, like from year to year, and especially her laugh. Her laugh isn't just like a regular normal laugh, you know, like how, but her laugh is just like a loud and contagious laugh, you know, like if you were to hear her laugh, like you would smile right away.
In the weeks leading up to her death, Carrie Lynn was struggling. She was being bullied at school, and 3 weeks before she died, she was admitted to the health center with deep scalpel cuts to her arm. The nurses stitched her up and informed the local child welfare agency, Cunawanamano.
They have to follow a protocol, and that protocol is to call mental health. And if a child is under the age of 16, they have to call Child Protection Services. So the hospital did that, right? They called mental health, and they called Child Protection Services. Okay, so Carrie Lynn, and again, the kids grew up in this house.
Robin Bunting is Carrie Lynn's aunt. She is also her band's child welfare representative. She was never told about Carrie Lynn's suicide attempt. According to Cunawanamano, to involve her would be seen as a conflict of interest.
And I had noticed there was writing on my wall, and I asked the kids who did that. And Shay, Carrie Lynn's little sister, was down like this, and she said, "Auntie, it was Carrie." So Carrie Lynn wrote that.
They said that I understand your sister is the band rep for Constance Lake, and she can't be involved. Like they told me that. Is it like basically I can't tell her, my sister couldn't tell her anything what was going on? Well, to me that's how it sounded like, eh?
Following Carrie Lynn's suicide attempt, Cunawanamano waited 8 days before reaching out to the family.
This is our last picture together, me and my daughter.
Crystal Bunting was hopeful that they were going to provide Carrie Lynn with the help she needed, but the agency determined that ongoing intervention was not required.
A shame, I guess. You came into my house saying that you're going to help me and help my children, and then I got ashamed because I allowed these people inside my house. I thought I was going to trust them.
On the morning of November 27, 2019, Robin Bunting got a phone call from her sister Crystal. She was frantic, repeating Carrie Lynn's name over and over.
And then she says, "She's gone." And I said, "Who?" I didn't know what she was talking about. I still didn't know what was going on. She goes, "Carrie Lynn, she's gone." I said, "Gone where?" I said. And then I looked at my nephew Lewis, and he's standing there and he's crying, and I said, it hit me that she was gone.
Carrie Lynn Bunting was found hanging in the basement of her home by her younger sister. She was only 13 years old. Both Robin and Crystal feel that Cunawanamano failed to properly protect Carrie Lynn. They filed a formal complaint with Ontario's Child and Family Services Review Board.
I wish they would have told me that. They never told me that. November 6th, they never told me that. And if they had, I don't know what would have happened. I can't even think about that. Would she still be alive today? I think she would be.
APTN reached out to Cunawanamano Child and Family Services for comment. They couldn't speak to us regarding specific cases. But in their response to the formal complaint, the agency repeatedly denied any responsibility for the death of Carrie Lynn.
I need to tell people, you know, like how it is now. But now it's just like my role is ripped apart, you know, and I.
I'm not going to let her death be for nothing. Because Carolyn was not nothing. She died to help other kids, to help all the other kids out there. I'm not going to stand by and let it happen to another kid.
Tough story to hear. Well, we want to hear what you think about this story or the impact the child welfare system has had on your family. Here's how you can continue the conversation. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to share your comments. Time now for one more quick break. Still to come, passing down legends through beadwork.
When I tell these legends, it feels like I'm telling the words of generations, 7 generations ago, generations past.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And today's photo of the day comes to us from Aiden Sinclair. Aiden says, wait, which means hello from Kelowna, British Columbia on this fine day. It's a fine looking photo. And you at home can be in on this too. Be sure to send your name, location, and picture to share at aptn.ca. We're always looking for our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 11 with showers in St. John's, +6 with rain in Halifax, -1 with snow in Nain, +4 with rain in Cartwright, +3 with snow in Saguenay, -7 with snow in Chibougamau, +2 in a rain-snow mix for Toronto, +3 in sunny skies in Sault Ste. Marie. -2 under the sun for Thunder Bay, 6 below and snow in Sioux Lookout. -5 in God's Lake, 2 below in the Paw. -1 in Winnipeg, +1 in Dauphin with rain. -1 under sunny skies in Regina, 2 below in Saskatoon. +1 in Uranium City, -1 in Stony Rapids. Over to northern Alberta, sunny and +7 for Grand Prairie and Peace River. A sunny high of 10 for Calgary and Lethbridge. Sunny and 8 for Vancouver, +2 in Kamloops. 7 above for Fort Nelson, sunny and 1 in Smithers. -15 in Old Crow, +8 for Whitehorse. +1 in Yellowknife, 8 above in Trout Lake and Fort Liard. -13 with snow for Sax Harbor, snow and 6 below in Paulatuck. -10 with snow for Chesterfield, -20 in Cambridge Bay. 26 below in Resolute, -12 with snow in Joe Haven. A Manitoba woman has spent a lifetime telling legends through beadwork. As Daryl Stranger tells us, now she's using her experience to teach the next generation.
I want all cultures to see the beauty of First Nation culture.
For decades, Kathleen Robinson Fingerson has traveled all across Manitoba telling legends to schools and libraries. She's also beaded artwork since she was a little girl, so she combined the two and created a series of picture books for children.
I'm just saving legends that are going to be forgotten. If I look up my legends on the internet, they're not there. If I don't write these down, they're gone. And these are things that were told to me, so they're in here. I have to get them out on paper because I don't have the age to run around to schools telling legends anymore.
Kathleen started the project while in hospital receiving cancer treatments. She plans to release 4 different books of legends, 1 for each season. She says it's her way of honoring those that first shared them.
When I tell these legends, it feels like I'm telling the words of generations, 7 generations ago, generations past. It's like respecting them and honoring them.
Delvina Kijik is a former educator in the Brandon school system. She helped develop a cultural education program and brought Kathleen in to tell legends to the students. She saw firsthand just how important these stories were to the students and believes every school needs a copy of the soon-to-be book.
I think the big thing is really about it's understanding the story, understanding who they are, that they would be proud of what their legends are, that they would be proud of who they are, they would be proud, and that they would have a deeper understanding as to the importance of the teachings, of the story, and of their story, and how they are all connected to it.
Robinson Fingerson is raising $5,000 to be able to publish 500 books for her spring collection, The Legends of Wisikejek, which would be distributed to schools and friendship centers throughout Manitoba. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Pretty cool. To BC now, where a nonprofit foundation that feeds thousands of people on Vancouver's downtown east side is hosting a virtual fundraising concert tonight. Canadian music icon Jan Arden will be headlining the Being Hungry Sucks virtual concert, along with other talent like Sophia Dene. The funds raised will be used to increase the amount of free meals that are given out on a daily basis on the downtown east side. The concert is being streamed on the Better Life Foundation's website and on their Facebook page.
Our neighborhood and our community is going to be hungry before the pandemic and after the pandemic. Certainly hunger and lack of resources and lack of food and lack of many things is not new to the downtown east side. But like most things, has been incredibly exacerbated by the pandemic.
Certainly a great cause there. Ontario's first and only advocate for children and youth is our guest on a new episode of Face to Face tonight. The Doug Ford government closed down the office in the spring of 2019. Erwin Ellman says government talk about changing the child welfare system amounts to nothing more than nice words.
Every 3 days, a child dies in our province in Ontario. On average, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a child dies. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a child dies. On and on and on. And the minister knows this. She gets the reports on her desk. And if she doesn't, she can ask for them. Maybe her staff gets them. She needs to read them and then say, you know, a system reset is not good enough. Certainly a system reset without any commitment to building a family support system in the province is not good enough, because those deaths will continue to mount on her desk.
And that episode of Face to Face airs in about 1 minute's time. That is your APTN National News for this Tuesday, the 1st of December. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.